to the Blessed Life week 50. Week 50, can you believe it? We are so close to being completed with this series, and it has been a journey. It's been interesting. It's been a long year, and it's a great year. Just so many wonderful things have happened in this year. So I hope that so many wonderful things have been happening in your life, and that this series has been blessing you, that you've been passing it along to other people, that you have changed your heart as far as giving to the Lord and tithes and offerings and to others, that giving and tithing and offering has been a way of life or become a way of life for you. So I'm just super excited that, and a little bittersweet, because it's like, oh, now I have to, I'll be done, and, we'll move on to something else. How about that? So let's get right into it, okay? Now the scripture comes from Proverbs 8, verse 17 through 21. I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me. Riches and honor are mine to give. So are wealth and lasting success. What I give is better than the finest gold, better than the purest silver. I give wealth to those who love me, filling their houses with treasures. This is entitled Unavoidable Rewards. There is one more thing I want you to know about the subject of generosity. It is rewarded. According to Matthew 26, Jesus made an interesting comment after he heard Judas giving Mary a hard time for being extravagant. But when Jesus was aware of it, he said to them, "Why do you trouble the woman? For she has done a good work for me. For you have the poor with you always, but me you do not have always. For in pouring this fragrant oil on my body, she did it for my burial. Assuredly I say to you, wherever this gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be told as a memorial to her." When Mary approached Jesus to anoint him with her oil, I doubt she was saying to herself, I bet this is going to make me world famous. They'll be talking about this for years. She was just thinking about giving and how much she wanted to express her love for Jesus. Generosity doesn't give to receive, but generosity is always rewarded by God. If you give, God is going to bless you. No power on earth can stop it. I'm sorry if that bothers you. You're just going to have to deal with it. I know you're just giving to give. I realize you're not giving to receive. Nonetheless, blessing is the byproduct of giving. That's just the way it is. You can't get out of it. To do otherwise, God would have to violate his own nature. God is a rewarder. We saw that in Hebrews 11. Like any good parent, God desires to reward his children. Remember the friend of mine who annoyingly knew the 3 levels of giving before I could even enlighten him? One evening several years ago, he was going over his bills and finances. Like many other people, he uses a computer program to track his spending and account balances. When all his bills were paid, he saw that he still had a very healthy balance in his checking account. With a grateful heart, he prayed, "Lord, you've really blessed me. It's amazing to have that much money in my checking account. Thank you." That made him curious about how much money he had in other accounts. So he checked his savings balance and saw a very large sum there as well. Once again, he prayed, "Lord, you have been so good. Your blessings are just awesome. Thank you." It made him wonder how much money he had altogether. He looked at his investment account and his retirement accounts too. Then he added up everything and got a number. As he went to bed that night, he knew in dollars and cents exactly how much cash he had, and it was an amazing amount of money. He drifted off to sleep that night with his heart full of thanksgiving and wonder. The next morning, as he was praying in his quiet time, he heard the voice of the Lord ask him, "How much money do you have?" Immediately he thought, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble now. I never should have added up those accounts. Counting got King David in trouble too." Of course, he knew to the penny how much he had. He had gone to a lot of trouble the night before to find out his net worth. Although he knew better, he tried to weasel. "Well, Lord, what do you mean? Do you mean how much money do I have in my wallet?" Again, the question came, "How much money do you have?" My friend responded, "How much do I have in my checking account? Is that what you mean, Lord?" The question came again, "How much money do you have?" Finally, he said, "Lord, you know I added it up last night. This is how much money I have." And he quoted the figure. Then the Lord said, "Would you give it to me?" At this point, my friend said that he had a moment of disbelief. This can't be happening. this is unbelievable. God is asking me to give away all the money I've spent the last 20 years accumulating. But then remembering, as people with the gift of giving are likely to do, that it all belongs to God. He felt an overwhelming sense of joy and excitement rise up within him. It was unspeakable joy. Lord, he responded, I would love to give it to you. And so he did it. He gave away every penny that he had as the Lord led him. Over the next 12 months, God blessed his business to a degree that he had never seen before. 1 year after giving away all the money he had, this man had more than what he had given. In that 1 year, he accumulated more than he had in 20 years of hard work and saving. Every account was not only replenished, but had grown. What took him 20 years to do, God did in only one. Generosity toward God is always rewarded. Always. And the next section is when you give extravagantly. Let me close this topic of generosity by telling you that what most people almost always happens when the Spirit of God speaks to you about an extravagant gift. The first step in giving an extravagant gift to the Lord is hearing. You don't give an extravagant gift out of your own thinking or planning. You need to hear God. Hearing from God isn't hard or complicated. The Spirit wants you to know God's will and ways. He is always speaking. The voice of the Spirit is rarely a loud or a booming voice. It's usually a very soft impression. And frankly, you can talk yourself out of it. The second phase is excitement. Once you hear from God about a significant gift, it's natural to get extremely excited. This excitement doesn't last indefinitely, however. It almost always gives way to phase 3. Fear. Like my friend, you are most likely going to have thoughts that shout, this is crazy, this is absolutely crazy. The fact is that almost everything in the Christian life seems crazy to the natural mind. After fear comes phase 4 of giving an extravagant gift, logic. In the logic phase, you start thinking of lots of reasons you shouldn't do what you've heard God say. You will think of lots of alternative plans and programs. Do you think Abram had to wrestle with logic when God asked him to offer his son Isaac? Do you think logic might have had a thing or two to say to Peter before he stepped out of the boat? I'm not saying logic is wrong. I am saying that if logic says one thing and God's voice says something else, God's voice wins. Invariably, after logic comes doubt. Did I really hear God correctly? Maybe that was just my overactive imagination. What if it was the devil? The devil always overplays his hand because at that point you can ask yourself, would the devil really try to get me to give money to the preaching of the gospel so that more people would get saved? I don't think so. That's when you move into the final phase leading up to an extravagant gift. Faith. Once you get back to faith, the excitement returns, and that's when you can follow God and obey. Stay tuned for the food.